Where is he? At Notre Dame. What has he to do at Notre Dame? He is beadle, Bazin beadle at Notre Dame. He must know where his master is. Without a doubt he must. D'Artagnan thought for a moment, then took his sword and put on his cloak to go out. "Sir," said Planchet, in a mournful tone, "do you abandon me thus to my fate? Think, if I am found out here, the people of the house, who have not seen me enter it, will take me for a thief." "True," said D'Artagnan. "Let's see, canst thou speak any patois?" "I can do something better than that, sir. I can speak Flemish, where the devil didst thou learn it? In Artois, where I fought for years. Listen, sir. Goeden morgen, mynheer. Ich tien begire le weten that sand heat some stand, which means, good day, sir, I am anxious to know the state of your health. He calls that a language, but never mind, that will do capitally." D'Artagnan opened the door, and called out to a waiter to desire Madeleine to come upstairs. When the landlady made her appearance, she expressed much astonishment at seeing Planchet. "My dear landlady," said D'Artagnan, "I beg to introduce to you your brother, who is arrived from Flanders, and whom I am going to take into my service. My brother, wish your sister good morning. Master Peter, welcome." "Suster," said Planchet. "Goeden day, broder," replied the astonished landlady. "This is the case," said D'Artagnan. "This is your brother. Madeleine, you don't know him perhaps, but I know him. He has arrived from Amsterdam. You must dress him up during my absence. When I return, which will be in about an hour, you must offer him to me as a servant, and upon your recommendation, though he doesn't speak a word of French, I take him into my service, you understand. That is to say, I guess your wishes, and that is all that's necessary," said Madeleine. "You are a precious creature, my pretty hostess, and I am much obliged to you." The next moment D'Artagnan was on his way to Notre Dame. Chapter VII touches upon the strange effects a half pistole may have. D'Artagnan, as he crossed the Pont Neuf, congratulated himself on having found Planchet again, for at that time an intelligent servant was essential to him, nor was he sorry that through Planchet and the situation which he held in Rue de Lombards, a connection with the bourgeoisie might be commenced, at that critical period when that class were preparing to make war with the court party. It was like having a spy in the enemy's camp. In this frame of mind, grateful for the accidental meeting with Planchet, pleased with himself, D'Artagnan reached Notre Dame. He ran up the steps, entered the church, and addressing a verger who was sweeping the chapel, asked him if he knew Monsieur Bazin. "Monsieur Bazin, the beadle," said the verger. "Yes, there he is, attending mass, in the chapel of the Virgin." D'Artagnan nearly jumped for joy. He had despaired of finding Bazin, but now, he thought, since he held one end of the thread, he would be pretty sure to reach the other end. He knelt down just opposite the chapel, in order not to lose sight of his man, and as he had almost forgotten his prayers and had omitted to take a book with him, he made use of his time in gazing at Bazin. Bazin wore his dress, it may be observed, with equal dignity and saintly propriety. It was not difficult to understand that he had gained the crown of his ambition, and that the silver-mounted wand he brandished was in his eyes as honourable a distinction as the marshal's baton which Conde threw, or did not throw, into the enemy's line of battle at Fribourg. His person had undergone a change. Analogous to the change in his dress, his figure had grown rotund and, as it were, canonical. The striking points of his face were effaced. He had still a nose, but his cheeks, fattened out, each took a portion of it unto themselves. His chin had joined his throat, his eyes were swelled up with the paffints of his cheeks, his hair, cut straight in holy guise, covered his forehead as far as his eyebrows. The officiating priest was just finishing mass whilst D'Artagnan was looking at Bazin. He pronounced the words of the holy sacrament and retired, giving the benediction, which was received by the kneeling communicants, to the astonishment of D'Artagnan, who recognized in the priest the co-tutor himself, the famous Jean-François Gondi, who at that time, having a presentiment of the part he was to play, was beginning to court popularity by almsgiving. It was to this end that he performed from time to time some of those early masses which the common people, generally, alone attended. A sacerdotal officer, D'Artagnan knelt as well as the rest, received his share of the benediction, and made the sign of the cross, but when Bazin passed in his turn, with his eyes raised to heaven and walking, in all humility, the very last, D'Artagnan pulled him by the hem of his robe. Bazin looked down and started, as if he had seen a serpent. "Monsieur d'Artagnan," he cried, "vade retro satines." "So, my dear Bazin," said the officer, laughing, "this is the way you receive an old friend." "Sir," replied Bazin, "the true friends of a Christian are those who aid him in working out his salvation, not those who hinder him in doing so. I don't understand you, Bazin, nor can I see how I can be a stumbling block in the way of your salvation," said D'Artagnan. "You forget, sir, that you very nearly ruined forever that of my master, and that it was owing to you that he was very nearly being damned eternally for remaining a musketeer, whilst all the time his true vocation was the Church.